Sanjay Burman, we go back over a decade.
Yes.
I remember when I first met you, and I want to remind you, in case you don't remember, you had released an incredible book that really is into its fourth book right now, which is Making It in High Heels. It was the very first one.
Right.
And I'm really, really itching and excited to talk about your entire career with Burman Books.
Thank you.
As the CEO, as the founder, as the visionary behind it. But before we get there, I want people to know a little bit about perhaps what they might not know about you.
Okay.
Okay. Are you up for that?
Down memory lane. Let's go.
Perfect. Going back to your teenage years, you were quite the whiz kid. There was a number of things you accomplished before you hit 20 that most people throughout their life's career would look back at and say, I can't even believe I've accomplished it throughout my vast career. You had accomplished by the time you hit 20. And I am going to totally embarrass you by talking about those successes before we get into what you do today.
Well, I think the term whiz kid would sort of indicate that I knew what I was doing. And that was so not the case. So I don't know if whiz kid was the right one, but I do think that I didn't look at the repercussions of my actions. And had I wouldn't have done half of the things I did. Because that same look I got from my father throughout the entire high school career, which was, literally lasted and still does to this day sometimes. But I think it was more about not thinking too far ahead.
For me, I feel that's a whiz kid. I still believe that today you're a whiz kid.
Thank
because to me, the ideology behind that is that you kind of fly. I mean, you fly. You are like this liberated personality that doesn't look at all the restrictions because we know they exist. We know humanity knows that there's a million different things that can go wrong. But what if there was that one chance that something just might go right?
Right.
I got to go for that chance. To me, you're that person. I feel that you epitomize that with your career.
Thank you.
So I'm going to take you right back there.
Okay.
You were in high school. $1.2 million sale to PepsiCo.
Yes.
You got to tell me what that even means.
Well, it gets a lot of attention.
Yes.
Definitely wherever I go to speak, that's the first question. But it was essentially, I was the president of the SAC, the Student Association, and there was a gentleman who walked in with a suit. And nobody walked in with a suit in our school, so I followed him to the office, and he requested to see the principal. Principal was too busy, so the secretary said leave it in his mailbox. Well, the principal's mailbox was directly above mine. I don't know how, but his envelope happened to go into mine. So I took it back to the office and opened it up, and they were essentially just wanting Pepsi machines in the school. So just instinctively, I called the guy and I said that my principal's too busy to deal with this, so he's handed it off to me. And we went, it was initially, I think, 50 cents per student buy-in and 5 cents per can sold. So I said, we want $1 per student buy-in and 10 cents per can sold, and they agreed. And then I said, but there's a junior school, and those kids sometimes walk through our school. We should get that as well. He said, okay, fine. Then I thought about it, and I said, we need new textbooks. So we'll put a Pepsi logo in the textbooks, and we want $25,000 for that. And he agreed. So every time I kept asking, he kept coming back with okay. And finally I said, I hate our food. Let's get a Pizza Hut in there. And it took them a couple of weeks. They came back to me and they said, fine, we'll get this done. And the deal turned out to be $1.2 million.
Wow.
Then it had to be sent to the superintendent for signing. He sent it to my principal saying, what is this? And my principal, he expelled me from school because he said that, Sanjay sold the school to Pepsi and you're not allowed to do that. So, and so I looked in the yellow. My dad said, listen, you better graduate from high school, because if you don't graduate, you got to go find a job, or you start playing a guitar in the subway stations, because you're not sticking around here. So he never said how I had to get back into school. He just said I had to. So I retained a lawyer, and I looked in the yellow pages.
You got to be kidding me.
First lawyer I found, I called him up, and I told him what happened, and he laughed for about 20 minutes, it seemed. And then I said, but I only have $1. And he said, send me the $1. So I sent him the $1. He sent me a receipt, And then he went to work for me and got me back into school.
That's incredible. That's just where it all began.
Yeah.
After that, 16, CBC, TIFF, you've done a whole bunch of stuff in those teenage years,
Yeah.
right? Talk to me a little bit about why you decided to do the things you did, because it was very much in kind of the media entertainment sphere, which
Yes.
is not really where you are today. Tell me what happened there that you decided that these were the things that you wanted to be participating in.
Well, I started by getting coffee for the Toronto Film Festival executives, Debbie Nightingale more specifically, and it was one year in this hotel actually. And I was 14, and just getting coffee, getting staples done, things like that. It taught me the ropes. I got to meet a lot of people. At 16, CBC was looking for some people, and I auditioned. And when I got the job, I said, but I need to produce my own segments. The executive producer was a bit of a gambler for Newsworld, and he said, okay, let's go. And so I had a team with me, and my supervising producer actually became head of CBC programming recently. So that just sort of worked itself out, and then YTV called and was looking for people, and CBC said, we have someone for you. I think they just wanted to get me out of there, because I was just that 16-year-old who would never leave them and was always on their ankles trying to learn everything. So I think they said, go to YTV, it's a better place for you. And then from YTV, I left the industry completely for a year, and then came back into film, and was kind of moving my way that way. That was initially what I wanted to do, was film.
So what changed for you?
Between television and film, or film and books?
From film and books. Like, what happened there? Because television, film, it's all kind of the same kind of genre, entertainment business. Working for someone else versus
Right.
working for yourself. There's a lot of dynamics here. What was it that finally made you kind of do a 180?
I had just produced a movie that won TIFF, that won Cannes. It was called Spider, with Ralph Fiennes and David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
I was 24. It opened #1 in Italy. It opened #1 in England. I was doing really well. And Johnny Depp called with his manager one night, and they said that they had a project for me. I had been kind of getting this reputation of taking projects that were dead and resurrecting them in some creative way. So this was a really neat project, and it was on the premise that William Shakespeare never wrote his plays, that he had stolen them from John Marlowe. And so I thought, wow, this is interesting. I got my writer, who I had a stable of writers that I was managing. And basically, I got the job for my author to rewrite the script. And I got an email from one of Depp's people that said, look below. And below his email, it was my own client saying, don't go through Sanjay, I don't want to pay commission. Ooh. So I thought, well, I've put everything into this person's life, into trying to help them, and this is what happened. So I went to my father and I said, I'm really upset about this. And my dad said, well, it's because you're not a nice person. You're deceitful, you're manipulative, you're cocky, and this is karma. This is what karma is. So I thought, okay, closed my laptop. I was out of the industry, didn't know what I was going to do with myself, but that was it.
Because of what your father said? Or was it because, it's almost like hearing a voice telling you the truth? I don't know, you tell me.
No, I prefer when people tell me the truth bluntly, because I tell the truth bluntly.
Yeah.
But I think it was based on the fact that I thought, okay, if this is the way the industry must be played, then I don't want to do it. I was very young. So I saw all my player idols being very manipulative. And I took on those traits. In the sense of
because
mirroring.
Because you have to play the game in order to, this is what you think, right?
That's what I think.
In our infinite wisdom,
yeah.
In our ignorance as kids, so to speak, we think that, this is the only way to succeed because they're successful.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So it's shocking, though, to me, I have to tell you, Sanjay, that, you'd walk away from a career that, with a personality like yours, because my take on who you are is that when you have an idea in your head that you want to accomplish something, you have a very creative way to just make it happen.
Yeah.
You could have done some incredible things in the industry, but you decided that's not the person you wanted to be.
Right.
Right? And going against the establishment is the single most difficult thing to accomplish. And literally, why spend your whole life doing that when you could do something your way? And it could mean something to you, and you could become and be the person, the man that you need to be, that you want to be.
Right.
Am I correct when I say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's where Burman Books came along, right?
So then I left the industry, and I meet this woman who says, you know, literally 2 days later, I just started talking to her, and she said, come to my class. And I said, what class is it? And she said, what do you care? You're unemployed. I said, okay. And I walked in there, and it was a hypnotherapy class. And they were showing open heart surgery without anesthesia. They were showing dental surgery without anesthesia. And I just thought, that's what I want to do. And I became obsessed by it. Days and nights, weekend courses, and I became a master hypnotherapist very quickly. And then thought, well, why don't there be books that teach you how to accelerate your mind? And got started. And that was sort of the lead into Burman Books and the whole publishing regime. I had been an agent for literary talent, so I'd been on one side of the table, but I had never been the publisher, so I was learning as I go kind of thing, whereas others work within publishers and learn the ropes. So we made a lot of mistakes, and we didn't sell one book. And when I say we didn't sell one book, I mean literally, we didn't sell one book. It was the wrong trim size, wrong covers, wrong pricing, wrong style of editorial. I mean, it was just wrong all across the board.
So I want to know how you actually turned that around. Hi everyone, this is Open Chess TV with me, Raj Gurn. If you like the chat that you just finished watching, I really hope that you will subscribe to my channel for more intelligent, provocative, relevant conversations with some of your favorite celebrities.